Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of our photography review show. I hope you all had a great week and I hope you're ready for more photography fun. Now, if you've never been here before, my name is Jakub. I'm a professional landscape photographer based in West Sussex, England, and I'm also founder and creator here at Clever Photographer. Many of you probably know me from Luminar Neo. However, I also do this show where in some way it's basically my way of keeping in touch with our incredible photography community. Now, two things we need to cover before we're going to start. First, what we're going to do, we're going to look at the images from our photographers. And in general, I look at two things. I look at the technical part where I look at the camera settings, the details like noise, sharpness, the exposure, and all that fun stuff that basically builds the image. After that, we also look at the artistic part of the photo. This is my favorite part, and that's where we look at things like composition, storytelling, framing, and everything that really makes the image work. And on the top of it, if I think that it's beneficial and I think it will be helpful to you, then I also look at the photo editing. For the photo editing part, I use application called Luminar Neo. And if you haven't heard about it before, then there is a link in the description of the video where you can find out more about it, or you can simply head to the website skylum.com and learn more about this super powerful photo editing software. Anyway, so now you know what we're gonna do. Now, how can you join us with your own images? Well, it's super simple. All you need to do is to head to our website, cleverphotographer.com/membership, where you can subscribe to our Clever Photographer Plus membership. By doing that, you're gonna get access to this photography review show. You will be able to send your images. And on the top of it, you will get access to our Clever Photographer Academy, which is a Facebook group where we share knowledge and our images with photographers from around the world. And most importantly, you will get a monthly bundle full of incredible photography digital tools. Each month is focusing on different style of photography. So for example, in September, we were focusing on autumn. Now in October, we're going to be looking at cityscapes. And basically each of these bundles includes about 300 different elements. And you will find there everything from your presets for Lightroom, Photoshop, and Luminar Neo, overlays, textures, backgrounds, custom brushes, Lightroom brushes, and so much more. So, one more time, to find out more about it, head to our website, cleverphotographer.com. So, you know who I am, you know what we're gonna do, and you know how you can join us, maybe already for next episode. And since this is all out of the way, we can start with the reviews now. Okay, now moving into Luminar Neo, where, as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna be doing the reviews. Now we have 3 photographers and images from them, so we're gonna stick around here in the catalog module and look at the photos. We're gonna start with Elizabeth, who sent us a raw file and JPEG image after the editing for this beautiful capture of the eagle and landscape. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna look at the technical part. So let's have a look at this. We have the eagle right here, and we're gonna look at the camera settings. So Canon RP with the Tamron 28-300 millimeters. Now looking at the camera settings here, ISO 6400. Now then 210 on the lens, f6.3 and 1/500 of a second. So, looking at it, obviously there is fair amount of noise coming from the high ISO. In general, the sharpness is actually very, very good, considering the noise. So, that all looks good there. The depth, yeah, with that kind of length, with the 210 millimeters, we actually get quite nice soft background. Still recognizable, but very nice. We have some wood around and so on. So, in overall, it's nice diffuse light. It's a lovely sharpness. Overall, noise is kind of higher, but all in all, nice capture to start. It's a nice base for the image. Now, what do we get after? Interestingly, so we have this image right here. Look at the bottom with the crop, and then look at the image and the result here. Now, looking at it, so either it's a different image, Elizabeth, or you have applied some expanding or extension to get the result like this, because obviously this part of the tree isn't there. Now, naturally, I will just zoom in and have a look, and you can see a little bit the line here and some of the adjustments. You also see that maybe in some way there's kind of a little bit of the wing there, but all in all, talking about the first impression, I think it looks very nice. I really like lots of things about this image. I think that the framing at the end, coming from the landscape capture to the portrait, works very well. The bird looks magnificent. It really works. Immediately you know what you're trying to show. The contrast of the texture, color, and brightness of the main subject with everything else works super well as well. So I have to say this is actually incredible image. And even though there are some things that you could keep an eye on, so keeping an eye on some of the softer areas and maybe trying to fix them, trying to fix that kind of quite hard line here. In overall, I think the result is beautiful. And again, some of these things I'm mentioning here will be really only noticed by other photographers. Normal person, if you show them this capture, I think they will absolutely love it. So, well done, beautiful image, well edited. I have absolutely nothing to add here. I think it just looks beautiful. Only thing I'm gonna say again is just to keep an eye on these areas. For example, here you have the feathers coming from the bottom. Here, I'm not sure what we're looking at, if it's the rock or what we're looking at there. And again, the hard edge line, something to maybe keep an eye on. So, beautiful capture here. Now, moving to the second image, where you start here with this, I would say a desert, or definitely lots of sand with the mountains at the back and some textures foreground. And the result is here with this black and white. So Elizabeth, okay, starting with the image here. Now, again, Canon RP, Tamron 28 to 300 millimeters, ISO 100, f13, 1/400 of a second. Now, looking at more and more of your images and captures of the landscape, I start to feel that you really like f13. I think I've seen lots of f13 on your photos, but that's fine. I keep saying that I think probably f11 would do in this case, but okay. Nice and low ISO, shutter speed, all good there. You get a nice amount of details, nice exposure all the way through. The dunes are definitely the main subject here, with the mountains working very nicely as a background together with the sky. So all in all, this is all good. Now, technically, we have a little bit of sensor dust here, coming from the higher f-stop, so here and here, but that can be easily removed with any eraser tool. Here in Luminar Neo, there is something called remove dust spots, and what it does, it basically just scans the image and remove it for us, so we don't really have to worry about it. However, so anyway, technically, well done, nothing much to add here. A little bit stronger light, but definitely something that can be adjusted. Now, looking at the result, Elizabeth, it's a lovely capture. I really like the very dramatic black and white. I like the final framing. I think that panoramic or panoramatic crop works really well, especially for this type of landscape when there are kind of long mountains and long shapes. I think that works really well. I agree with you that probably the bottom of the image wasn't as important, and I think you've done quite well removing it. So all in all, the result is good. However, for me personally, I think the background is a little bit too dark, and it just creates very unnatural contrast. Talking about dark, if you would print this, lots of these parts would be completely black, and you would see that it wouldn't really be as interesting. I'm a big fan of that kind of fine art black and white photography with heavy contrast. However, here I would just leave some parts a little bit more open, maybe play around with the shadows, maybe play around with the blacks, and just always make sure that you have some details left in all of these areas. Good way to work with this is to basically use clipping mask. It can be used in Luminar Neo or other applications, because that will basically tell you how much of these areas are overdone. Now, because this was edited and exported, you will not be able to see it. However, once you push it, when you would be editing it, you would see these blue areas, and those would be the areas which are completely black. Anyway, regardless, I think it's a beautiful capture as well. I think that the black and white edit is actually very smart, and I think it gives you beautiful result. So, Elizabeth, 2 beautiful captures. The eagle is absolutely stunning and magnificent, so well done on capturing that. And the landscape also well put together, well edited, and just as I say, just open up the shadows a little bit, adjust the blacks, and I think you will have a beautiful image there. So, Elizabeth, as always, thank you very much for your images, and I'm looking forward to see more of them next week. Moving forward, now we're gonna look at images from Zdeněk. Zdeněk is one of our resident photographers here at Clever Photographer. We've been looking at his images for a number of years now, and I'm always amazed by what he's able to produce. Now, for those who don't know, Zdeněk is based in South Africa, and in general, he shared with us a combination of landscape and wildlife photos. Now, of course, that the landscape looks beautiful, but especially the wildlife images are really beautiful and also rare for us who are based here in Europe or in the northern part of the world. So, Zdeněk, what we have today? A little bit of landscape capture, probably from one of the parks, coming from probably a nice warm day, and more importantly, stunning capture of the zebra here with beautiful details, beautiful black and white dramatic edit. Stunning. Okay, starting with the landscape photo. Now, we gonna look at the technical part with this one, Canon 77D with the Canon 24-105 millimeters. Looking at the camera settings, ISO 100, 24 millimeters, f8, 1/320th of a second, so all good there. Nice and low ISO, f8. In general, getting probably one of the best results of the camera, and also when shooting it with 24 millimeters, getting sharpness all the way through anyway. 1/320th of a second, giving you nice texture in the sky, and also all the grass and everything with a nice, good sharpness and good exposure. Talking about exposure, I quite like the image because it doesn't have that kind of heavy heat, like a really strong sun look. It actually looks quite balanced, even though it looks like there was probably some sort of sun. It doesn't look very overexposed, and it doesn't have that really super contrasty shadows. So I like this image a lot. I think technically is well done. Sharpness is good. Noise, it's okay. Now, when you zoom in, you can see how the tree is in focus, and the background is just a little bit softer. But I think in overall, for that image and giving us a little bit of depth, I think it works very well. Now, talking about the artistic part, what I really like here is the work with the multiple elements. The tree in the foreground helps with so many things. It helps us with the scale, it helps us with the depth, it helps as a foreground element, it also helps with your rule of third. It kind of cover both of the rule of third points, and it's just really nice building stone for the whole image. I think if the tree wouldn't be there, yes, the mountain is nice, but it wouldn't be as interesting at all. And I think this is really helpful. So the tree, well positioned, well used, and I think it really helps the overall image. After that, of course, the mountain, the texture in the sky, the texture in front, which is kind of high frequency, and I'm not a big fan of it in general. I think this works very well because it's almost kind of blurred together. So it just creates very nice, warm, soft feel for the opening of the image. And I think in overall, it worked very, very well. So to be honest, Zdeněk, I wouldn't actually adjust here much. I like the overall white balance. It feels very natural. I like that kind of natural edit. I like the panoramic crop, the sky, the colors. I think everything works very well. And yeah, I don't have much to add. Obviously, if you would want to, you could create light gradient from the bottom up just to close the image a little bit, maybe add a little bit more focus on the tree or on the middle part of the image, just because the foreground is a little bit bright. That's maybe what I would do, but that's about it. So great capture, well done, and thank you for sending it over. Now, talking about the zebra here, lovely black and white edit, as I mentioned, but before we talk about the edit, let's talk about the camera settings. So Canon 5D Mark IV with the Canon 100-400 millimeters. Here on the camera settings, ISO 200, 330 millimeters, f5.6, and 1/1000 of a second. So touch, higher ISO, no problem here, especially for wildlife. You kind of need to be able to work with that. 330 millimeters in combination with f5.6 gives us this really nice depth of field with very nice soft background. On verge of a little bit of bokeh here, which I think works very well. And 1/1000 of a second, giving you this amazing sharpness. I mean, the level of details with the hair coming from obviously the nose of the animal, again, the hair around, the texture, everything just looks absolutely stunning. So Zdeněk, I really like it. I really like the kind of partial punch in, focusing just on the head. I think the framing is very good. Again, with the space in front, I think it works very well. Very nice contrasty edit with really helping the animal to stand out and creating this beautiful scene. So Zdeněk, well done. Great capture. Unfortunately, not much I can add today other than admire your work. I think that this is beautiful. I think for the zebras especially, looking at your images, the black and white edit really works very well and create beautiful results. So well done on using it there. Well done on capturing the landscape, and thank you for sending your images over. And to finish this week's episode, we're gonna look at beautiful nature captures by Tony. Tony, another one of our regular photographers here at Clever Photographer and our photography review show, is really a master of capturing beautiful nature captures. Now, today we have a number of different images. We will not have a time to look at all of them, but let's go through them and just pick up some of the things that I really like and some stuff that I think maybe need maybe a few adjustments, if there are even any. Anyway, starting with this first one, we don't need to really go that much further because I think it's absolutely amazing. Tony, I love the capture here. It's incredibly well put together, well captured, and regardless of anything, any kind of technical data or anything, this is a type of capture where you look at it and you're just amazed. It's beautiful. Capturing animal like this when flying, it's just not really easy, and I think the result is beautiful. Tony, really, I applaud you. It looks beautiful. Obviously, because of this capture, let's have a look at the camera details there to know what you capture it with. So Canon 7D, 18-235 millimeters, but more importantly, the camera settings here. So a little higher ISO on 800, 135 millimeters, and 1,600 of a second on the shutter speed. Obviously, just to make sure that you freeze it, that's the kind of higher shutter speed it needs, but it worked very well. I like that there is a little bit of texture with the little plants. I think that helps really well. But again, I think it's all about the animal and it's well captured. Maybe a little bit of additional noise reduction would be helpful. Maybe just to try to little bit work around with the background. But again, I think all in all, it's a beautiful, beautiful image. Now, talking about captures of animals, I think we have even more. So there is a bee sitting on this flower right here, which is beautifully captured. But for me, the light is just a little bit too harsh. I know it's a beautiful scene with the animal working there. It's just, there's a lot of highlights there, and even the surrounding is quite bright. So it's beautiful, but not my favorite out of all the images today. This one, also beautiful. Shame for the kind of darker areas in the corner, and maybe just little tighter cropping just to kind of get a balance in the overall look. Could be helpful. So maybe just, something like this could work, just to avoiding the darker areas. And as always, just a little bit, some, as we say, a little bit of local adjustments just to add a little bit more, focus on the main subject. So for example, we could just bring down a little bit of the exposure, and for some reason it doesn't really want to change. That's way too much. So somewhere around here, and with the vignette, maybe just close it a little bit and add a little bit of inner light. So something like that, just from here to here, is what could just make the flower pop out a little bit more. But furthermore, this one is beautiful. Beautiful butterfly climbing on the top of the flower here with a similar texture and colors at the background, creating beautiful depth. I really like the framing. I think the animal in the middle with lovely details, all of that works super well. Looking at the camera settings for this image, again, Canon 7D, 18-235 millimeters, and from the camera settings, ISO 200, f9, and 1/250th of a second. Beautiful capture. Well put together, all the settings make it work. Yeah, again, you could probably apply a little vignette just to add more attention to the animal itself. So maybe just something a little bit here, just to create a little bit of gradient on the flower, a little bit of extra light there. That's about it. You could also tune down a little bit the pink, and that way we would get more attention towards the animal colors. So if we look at the saturation, what is it? Is it red? Yeah, it's red. So we bring it down just a little bit and maybe increase the orange to get more color on the animal itself. So from here to here, just again, adding more attention to the animal. So beautiful capture, beautiful image. And finally, two bees enjoying their lunch here with lots of beautiful details, lovely depth, lovely texture, and lovely scene. Although the light is also a little bit stronger here, I think it works very well, Tony. I think it's very well put together. From the camera settings here, Canon 7D, again, 18-235 millimeters, ISO 200, f8, and 1/250th of a second. Brilliant, brilliant, Tony. I'm amazed how you're getting your skills. When we started, when you were sending images together, it was lots of plans. I like how you now progress and moving forward by basically capturing some additional elements like the animals here. And I have to say, out of all of the images today, this one is without the doubt my favorite. Beautifully captured, beautifully put together. Tony, thank you again, as always, for sending your images over. If you have more, make sure you send them to us for the next week episode. And in the meantime, yeah, just keep shooting. And the same goes for all of you folks. If you want to join us for the next episode of the Photography Review Show with your own images, all you need to do is to jump to our website, cleverphotographer.com/forward membership. There, subscribe and get access to our monthly bundle, Clever Photographer Academy, and send us your images so I can review them for you. Anyway, have a lovely rest of your day and see you all